Let me tell you something about human nature. The moment somebody feels like they can never lose you, they stop handling your heart carefully. That is why so many good people end up hurting in silence. They give too much. They forgive too fast. They make excuses for bad behavior because they are afraid that if they stop trying, the relationship will fall apart. So they overlove, overexplain, oversacrifice, hoping one day the other person will finally realize their value. But listen to me carefully. You cannot make somebody respect you by loving them harder. And one of the most powerful lessons you will ever learn is this. People start valuing you differently when they realize your presence is no longer guaranteed. Now, I am not talking about playing games. I am not talking about manipulation, cold behavior, or pretending not to care. That kind of energy is immature. Real power is deeper than that. Real power is emotional control. It is being able to love someone without losing yourself. It is staying calm when others expect you to chase. It is protecting your peace instead of begging for attention. And trust me, when a person sees that you are no longer emotionally dependent on their validation, something shifts inside them. Because confidence is rare. Self-respect is rare. A person who can walk away from disrespect quietly, without drama, without revenge, without emotional chaos, that person becomes unforgettable. See, most people think attraction is built through words, but sometimes silence changes everything. Sometimes your absence teaches people what your presence was worth all along. And today, we are going to talk about the silent power trick that makes someone fear losing you without you needing to threaten them, chase them, or say a single word. Because when you truly know your value, your energy speaks before you ever do. Most people think attraction is created by doing more texting, more explaining, more sacrificing, more proving. They believe if they give enough love, attention, patience, and understanding, the other person will finally wake up one day and realize how valuable they are. But the truth is, human nature does not work that way. What people receive too easily, too consistently, and without effort often becomes invisible to them over time. And that is why so many good people end up emotionally exhausted. They confuse constant availability with love, when in reality, true emotional value is created through balance, self-respect, and emotional security. People naturally appreciate what feels rare, not because they are cruel, but because rarity creates importance. Think about it. Nobody becomes excited about something they believe they can never lose. The moment a person feels completely certain that you will stay no matter how they behave, they unconsciously relax their effort. They stop paying attention to the little things. The appreciation fades. The emotional care becomes inconsistent. And slowly, the relationship becomes unbalanced. One person keeps pouring while the other simply receives. That is why emotional security within yourself matters so much. A person who is emotionally grounded does not beg for attention. They do not panic every time a message is delayed. They do not make another human being the center of their entire emotional world. Instead, they understand something powerful. Their value exists whether someone recognizes it or not. And that kind of energy changes everything. See, desperation has a sound to it. People can feel it even when you do not say it out loud. They can sense when you are terrified of losing them. They can feel when your happiness depends entirely on their approval. And unfortunately, when someone feels that level of emotional dependence from you, it changes the dynamic. Instead of feeling inspired to move closer, they often begin pulling away. Because pressure suffocates attraction. Neediness weakens mystery. Overpursuit removes emotional tension. But calm confidence, that pulls people in naturally. A calm person does not need to announce their worth every 5 minutes. They do not chase validation because they already know who they are. They can love deeply without abandoning themselves. They can care without becoming emotionally consumed. And when somebody encounters that kind of emotional stability, it stands out immediately because it is rare in today's world. Most people are emotionally reactive. One delayed response ruins their mood. One disagreement destroys their peace. One moment of distance sends them into panic. But a secure person remains centered. They do not collapse emotionally every time life becomes uncertain. And that inner stability creates a quiet kind of power that others can feel. You know what truly makes somebody fear losing you? It is not manipulation. It is not jealousy games. It is not pretending not to care. It is the realization that your happiness does not depend entirely on them. That realization changes how people see you. Because when someone understands that you are emotionally secure enough to walk away from disrespect, enough to survive without constant reassurance, enough to maintain your peace with or without them, they begin valuing your presence differently. Suddenly, you are no longer someone they can casually neglect without consequences. And let me tell you something important. Emotional security is not coldness. It is not acting distant or unavailable. Some people misunderstand confidence and think they must become emotionally detached to appear valuable. No, real confidence is warm. It is open. It is loving, but it also has standards. A secure person can say, I care about you deeply, while still refusing to tolerate disrespect. They can invest emotionally without losing their identity. They can love fully without begging to be chosen. That balance is powerful because people admire those who remain connected to themselves even while loving others. The problem is, too many people lose themselves in relationships. They stop prioritizing their goals. Their routines disappear. Their confidence becomes attached to another person's attention. Their mood rises and falls depending on how loved they feel that day. And without realizing it, they slowly hand over their emotional power. The moment your entire identity becomes dependent on somebody else, fear takes control of your behavior. Fear makes you over-explain. Fear makes you tolerate disrespect. Fear makes you chase people who are not matching your energy. Fear makes you stay in situations that drain your spirit. But when you become emotionally secure within yourself, something changes. You stop operating from fear and start operating from value. You no longer need constant reassurance because your self-worth is no longer hanging by another person's opinion. You begin choosing relationships from a place of peace instead of emotional survival. And ironically, that is when people start respecting you more because confidence creates emotional space. It removes pressure and allows attraction, appreciation, and curiosity to grow naturally. People lean toward energy that feels peaceful instead of desperate. They feel safer around those who are emotionally stable instead of emotionally chaotic. And the truth is, some of the most magnetic people in the world are not the loudest, the richest, or the most physically attractive. They are simply secure within themselves. Their calmness becomes attractive. Their self-respect becomes noticeable. Their emotional control becomes unforgettable. When you walk into a room without needing approval, people feel it. When you stop forcing connections and start valuing yourself, people notice it. When your peace matters more than chasing temporary attention, your entire energy changes. And that is when your presence becomes rare, not because you became unavailable, but because you finally stopped abandoning yourself just to keep someone else comfortable. One of the most powerful things you will ever learn in life is this. Silence speaks. Not the silence of anger, not the silence used to manipulate or punish somebody, but the silence that comes from emotional control, self-respect, and inner peace. There is a kind of strength that does not need to raise its voice, defend itself constantly, or react to every disappointment. And the people who master that strength become unforgettable. Most people live emotionally reactive lives. Every small change in behavior affects their mood. If somebody pulls away, they panic. If a message goes unanswered, they overthink. If they feel ignored, they immediately demand explanations. And because of that, they unknowingly give away their emotional power. They allow another person's behavior to control their peace. But emotionally intelligent people understand something different. They understand that not every situation deserves a reaction. Not every disappointment requires a confrontation. And not every emotional wound should turn into a dramatic argument. Sometimes the strongest thing you can do is become quiet and observe, because silence reveals things words never will. When you stop chasing conversations, you notice who actually reaches for you. When you stop over-explaining your value, you notice who naturally appreciates you. When you stop fighting for attention, you see who was only enjoying your effort instead of genuinely caring about you. That is the power of silence. It exposes truth. See, many people talk too much when they are afraid of losing someone. They try to explain their feelings repeatedly, hoping the other person will finally understand their pain. But here is the hard truth. When someone already sees your effort and still chooses inconsistency, more words rarely change them. At some point, your silence becomes more meaningful than another emotional speech, because silence creates awareness. People become used to your voice, your effort, your presence, your constant emotional availability. They expect it. They rely on it. But when that energy suddenly becomes calm and reserved, they feel the difference immediately. Human beings notice absence faster than presence. That is why silence carries emotional weight. Now understand this carefully. Silence is only powerful when it comes from peace, not pride. A lot of people give silent treatment because they want control. They want the other person to suffer, beg, or feel guilty. That is emotional immaturity. True silence is different. True silence says, I refuse to disturb my peace explaining myself to someone committed to misunderstanding me. There is dignity in that, because emotionally mature people do not spend their lives trying to force understanding from people who refuse to listen. They understand that energy is precious, time is precious, peace is precious, and constantly reacting to disrespect drains all three. That is why calmness becomes powerful. You know what unsettles people the most? It is not yelling. It is not threats. It is not emotional chaos. It is composure. When someone expects you to beg, but you remain calm, they notice. When someone expects you to chase, but you focus on yourself instead, they notice. When someone expects emotional breakdowns, but you quietly protect your peace, they notice, because your silence forces them to sit with their own thoughts. See, loud reactions often distract people from their behavior. Arguments become about tone, anger, or emotion instead of the real issue. But silence removes distraction. It creates space for reflection. And sometimes that reflection hits harder than words ever could. A person can ignore your complaints, but they struggle to ignore your emotional withdrawal, especially when that withdrawal comes without drama. There is something deeply powerful about a person who knows when to stop talking. A person who understands that self-respect sometimes means stepping back instead of fighting harder. Because not every battle deserves your energy. Some battles only exist to test whether you will abandon your dignity trying to win someone over. And let me tell you something important. Silence also protects your emotional stability. Every unnecessary argument steals peace from your mind. Every moment spent proving your worth to someone emotionally unavailable slowly damages your confidence. Over time, constant emotional reactions leave you exhausted. That is why emotionally intelligent people learn to pause before responding. They do not let temporary emotions control permanent decisions. Silence gives clarity. It allows you to think instead of react. It allows you to observe patterns instead of excuses. It allows you to recognize whether someone truly values you or merely enjoys access to you. And once you develop that emotional discipline, relationships begin changing around you. People start respecting your boundaries more because they realize you are not emotionally chaotic. They realize you cannot be controlled through guilt, mixed signals, or inconsistency. They realize your peace matters to you. And that changes the energy completely. See, there is a reason emotionally secure people appear attractive and powerful. It is because they are not constantly leaking desperation through emotional overreaction. They remain centered. Their emotions are not easily manipulated. And that emotional steadiness creates trust, mystery, and respect all at once. The world is full of noise. Constant opinions, constant reactions, constant emotional outbursts. But calm people stand out because their silence feels different. Their energy feels stable. Their presence feels grounded. And grounded people are hard to replace. Now, does silence mean you never communicate? Of course not. Healthy communication matters. Honest conversations matter. But there is a difference between communicating once with clarity and endlessly explaining yourself to someone who has already decided not to value your feelings. At some point, silence becomes wisdom because maturity teaches you that not everyone deserves access to your emotional energy. Not everyone deserves repeated explanations. And not everyone deserves unlimited chances to disturb your peace. Sometimes your growth will offend people who benefited from your emotional weakness. Sometimes your silence will confuse people who were used to controlling your reactions. Sometimes your calmness will make others uncomfortable because they expected emotional chaos from you. But that is not your problem anymore. Your responsibility is to protect your peace, maintain your dignity, and remain emotionally grounded no matter what life throws at you. And when you learn how to do that, something incredible happens. Your silence stops feeling empty. It starts feeling powerful. Whether people admit it or not, your energy teaches them how to treat you. Every relationship in your life operates on patterns, and those patterns are created by what you allow, what you tolerate, what you reward, and what you ignore. Human beings pay attention to behavior more than words. You can say you deserve respect all day long, but if your actions constantly accept disrespect, inconsistency, and emotional neglect, people eventually believe your behavior instead of your standards. That is why self-respect is not something you announce. It is something you demonstrate. A lot of people unknowingly train others to take them for granted, not because they are weak, but because they are afraid. Afraid of conflict, afraid of rejection, afraid of losing someone they care about. So they become overly accommodating. They keep forgiving the same behavior. They keep accepting excuses. They keep lowering boundaries in order to keep the connection alive. And slowly, without realizing it, they create a relationship where their needs matter less and less. The painful truth is this: when people see that you will always stay, no matter how poorly they treat you, many of them stop trying. Not everybody is malicious. Sometimes human beings simply become comfortable. But comfort without accountability often leads to carelessness, and carelessness slowly destroys emotional connection. That is why boundaries are so important. Boundaries are not walls meant to push people away. Boundaries are instructions that teach others how to love and respect you properly. They communicate what is acceptable and what is not. Without boundaries, relationships become emotionally one-sided because one person keeps giving while the other keeps taking. And let me tell you something many people struggle to accept. Kindness without boundaries becomes self-destruction. There is nothing noble about constantly sacrificing your peace for people who do not protect your heart. There is nothing mature about tolerating repeated disrespect just because you love somebody. Love should never require you to abandon your dignity, but many people confuse loyalty with self-neglect. They think being loyal means staying through every lie, every disappointment, every broken promise, every moment of emotional neglect. No, loyalty should never mean teaching someone they can wound you without consequences. Because every time you accept behavior that hurts your spirit,